This episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour is sponsored by the law offices of Alfred Guillaume III, a boutique criminal defense firm located in Washington, D.C. The firm specializes in defending federal criminal cases. You can learn more about the firm by visiting our website at guillaumelaw.com. That's GUILLAUME law.com. Attorney Warren Brown has been the preeminent criminal defense attorney in Baltimore since the late 1980s. He graduated from Boston University School of Law in 1977 and opened his own criminal practice in 1988. And just like DJ Khaled, all he does is win. Warren has the distinction of being a member of the greatest generation of music in American history. His generation laid the seeds for the music that would later come to be known as hip-hop. I love talking to people from this generation. My parents are from this generation, and I grew up listening to the music that gave birth to hip-hop. Warren and I discussed his time living in Harlem after law school, his favorite artist, Gil Scott Heron, who also just so happens to be the godfather of hip-hop, and many other things. This episode is jam-packed with musical gems. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome to the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. I'm joined again by my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, attorney Warren Brown. He's here and he's ready to talk music, y'all. All right. And he is, as you know from listening to part one, or if you're starting off with this one, or you're looking at it on YouTube or wherever you're looking at it from, this man's an OG, okay?
Yeah.
So, original gangster. That's what that means.
Old man.
Not an old man, an OG. And he chose, look, I mean, I have the records in my office. So, as we know, the tradition is to go through the crates. And like I told you in the first part of the interview, you're a little bit younger, actually, than my parents. But you are from the same generation.
That's right.
And their music greatly influenced mine.
Yeah.
And hip-hop is influenced directly from the music of the previous generation, directly influenced from.
Right.
So I would like to start with an album and an artist that I knew going into this that you love, Mr. Gil Scott Heron.
Man, I swear, it's, when you think about artists that you hope never die, Gil Scott was the artist for me. I remember I graduated a semester early at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, so I moved to New York with my buddy who was graduating at the same time.
And this is the
Harlem,
late
right?
70s?
This is 70. We left Pittsburgh in December 73. So, for spring of 74, I'm in New York City. And then soon after I get there, I'm listening to WBLS, Johnny Crocker. So people out here who see your program, they would know. But in any case, I heard this song, The Bottle.
I love
said,
The Bottle.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Man,
that's
that
his
was
most
me.
famous song.
Yeah, that got me, and I never left, man. That was 74, so Gil Scott was he was good. He was great, man. And
He's great.
Right, and his songs, his writings were about social matters.
Right.
About coal miners, in West Virginia.
We almost lost Detroit.
We almost lost
war.
Detroit.
Right.
And about the immigrants.
Even then, it's a hot topic now. Even back then.
Right. And I'm listening to some of his music, about the immigrants, having to sneak into the country, man. And so he was just, it was real, And so it's kind of hard.
Spoken word too, right? So
yes.
like the spoken word directly influenced the hip hop style.
Absolutely.
That came after it.
Absolutely.
And he could sing as well, though.
Yeah, that's right. He was a great musician.
He had a great voice.
Yes. So he was just there. He was, I guess Gil would have been maybe 8, 9 years older, maybe 10 years older than me. So because he was down in Jackson, Mississippi. That's where he was raised. He was born in Chicago, I think, but down in Jackson, Mississippi. In Tennessee. And so he was down there, in the thick of things, right? Until he got up out of there. But yeah, he's always stayed with me, man. His music, I try to get the young folks to...
Right, it's amazing. And I got put on a Gil Scott later on in life. My parents, we'll talk about this next record in a second with The Last Poets, but my dad had a Last Poets album. But I like Talib Kweli, who introduced me to kind of the Gil Scott
That's right.
Influence, if you will. And my favorite Gil Scott song probably is "Lady Day" and John Coltrane.
Yeah.
That's I love that beat. I think Talib might have sampled that. Do no 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 no. I mean, I just "Winter in America" is another one that I really love.
Oh my goodness, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But he's outgrowth of the Last Poets. I mean, that's,
exactly. So that brings us to our next album,
which was cool because all these guys were up there in Harlem, man,
Right.
and I was living up there,
You were
right?
living in Harlem
I was right there in the
at the
belly of the
time.
beast, man. Yeah.
And this record, this next record that you chose, is from the Last Poets, jazzatry, as opposed to poetry. And the Last Poets, I mean, obviously it's your generation. It's heavy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like
Right, because they were in the thick of things.
right.
They were in the thick of things, and
I guess you're gonna call it. We say now the word pro-black, but Pan-Africanism. I don't know what you would say like to describe their music. I mean,
it was kind of like survival music. It was a recording for posterity, history.
also spoken word is
Absolutely, just and now and on wax, and to speak beyond the when we're gone, beyond your grave, about what is going on here, and really, it hasn't tremendously changed. It's still a struggle.
These are some of the same things people talk about today.
Struggle for non-whites, right? And the battle goes on. But these guys were out there and they were putting pen to paper.
And it sounded good. Though.
And it sounded good.
That's the thing.
Right. The Timbale man right on the corner. That's what great. Up in Harlem, 125. Yeah, Harlem's different now, but shucks, 124 St. Nick or 125.
So how long were you in Harlem?
I was there for 9 months, and then I would go back during the summers because it bit
New York
me.
City's a special place.
Oh man, my daughter, who's most like me of all my kids, she lives up there, and she's the same way. She loves New York, and I was up there, man, when the bridges were crumbling. I mean, they were about to go into bankruptcy. Yeah, man, and the rest of America saying, forget them
New York,
Puerto Ricans, because it had this image of being all these Puerto Ricans and black folk, but even more so Puerto Ricans. But no, man, it was something, man. I learned. I cut my teeth there in New York City.
New York is in my soul. My mom used to always say, my mom was from Los Angeles. Today's her birthday, actually.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Mama.
Yeah. Happy heavenly birthday to Mom. She used to say, I'm from the West, but my soul is in New York.
I'm telling you.
And
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so and mine is too. I was just in Brooklyn maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And I hadn't been to New York in a while, and I was there just being, in Fort Greene. And I was just like, man,
I know.
It just filled my soul. I was just so.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's both Harlem and Bed-Stuy have changed. My daughter's in Bed-Stuy, and so the real estate values gone way up. So
nobody can live in New York.
Right, you got. I remember when I was there, you never saw any non-white people at all.
Where you were, wow, especially in Harlem, right? That's the seat of black culture.
I'm sorry, you never saw any white people, only non-white people, and so. But now, I mean, they bought the town, they bought the brownstones, and
right. It's the seat of black culture in New York, and really in the country, one can make an argument.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because listen, you go back to the 30s, 40s.
The Harlem Renaissance.
That's right.
Right.
All of America. It was for black people. It was Harlem.
Right, Harlem is where it's
absolutely.
at.
So that's and then you got Marvin Gaye out there. Well,
I see. Well, yeah, you get right to it, man. Like you saw this album and you said, "Oh hell no!" That was your line.
Yeah, man.
Let's get it on.
Right, because what happened was they transitioned.
It's the original album, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah, all these are original albums.
Yeah, they're in good shape.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think this was 1974, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah, I love this album.
Yeah, I think about where it was, and then I know the year. So I was in undergrad, so somebody been 70, 74.
Look at this famous. I'm going to show the camera the inside album art as well of Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye is one of my all-time favorite artists. He's on my wall along with Stevie Wonder and other folks. He's a Washington, D.C. native. Gone way too soon.
Yeah, man.
And this album, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was one of his breakaway from Motown into his new sound.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And there was some consternation about that because there was
very sexual.
Yeah, and there was a lot of demonstrating around the country, and Motown was like nice, clean. And now they get into music. Some other things, not seedy things at all, but but promoting black folk,
like
making
Stevie
them feel
Wonder,
good.
exactly.
Right,
Marvin Gaye,
Marvin Gaye and those guys, and so they broke from the doo-wop,
right,
and started talking about Vietnam and things going on here in this country.
Right.
That were ugly at the time. Fred Hampton being killed by the FBI in Chicago, which is
Black
interesting
Panther,
now because
right.
you're saying white folks now they got a problem with the FBI. We're like, yeah. Guess what? We told you. Told you back in the '70s. We told you about them. Messing with Martin Luther King and killing Fred Hampton. Y'all didn't believe us. Now you know, right?
Right. Exactly.
They want to defund the FBI. But so Gil Scott, Marvin Gaye, all these guys, man, they came through. And what happened? It's kind of sad because we eventually got to bitches and whores,
right?
Glocks and AKs and all of that, man.
Because I talk about that too, and I'm a generation behind you, but I see it as well, and I'm just disappointed in how our culture sometimes presents itself.
Yeah.
It's like you use those terms. I'm not prudish about language. I mean, I'm a hip hop kid, so I understand there's language involved.
Right.
But when it's gratuitous, right?
Yeah.
And the objectification of women for me,
that's the problem. Yeah.
That's the one. I mean, I have daughters, you have daughters and sons, but
right.
I mean, I have a mother, you have a mother, I have a wife, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
you don't need to go, and I think that's a relatively new thing.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and because you could never have imagined calling, a woman a B word, and it's so. It's proliferated so that it's almost normal, man. I mean,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. But so this music here you got laid out.
Right. This is your music. You
this
chose
is my music,
it.
man.
And I collect these vinyl albums.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's quite something. Vinyl's coming back.
Yeah, and I'm gonna shout out HR Records in DC. Actually, no, don't go there because I go there. I don't want nobody taking the records that I buy. But this album, I want to just showcase to the viewers. It's Marvin Gaye's "I Want You," and this is this album was inspired another a rap group, Camp Lo, who you may or may not know, to do a similar type of cover. It was inspired directly from this album. But you saw this album, and you said, "Oh yeah, we used to party to this one, man." Like this is a great. I mean, you look at the front cover and you see there's a party going on, and to me, your generation, my parents' generation, was such a noble generation. It was the first truly different generation it was so different from your parents.
Right. That's right.
I mean, it was. I can't even imagine how your parents must have felt watching you all.
Right. Exactly. Because it was. We had a taste of the past,
right?
And we were there for an awakening. Doors just opened up. So we were young enough to take advantage of it. A number of people in my neighborhood, guys, they ended up in Vietnam, and many of them died over there because this opening up happened just a little too late for them, right? So in the early '60s, they were off. They were gone to Vietnam, but later on things changed, and so so we were there to see the dawning of a new day, so to speak.
Right.
And
then music changed, even though it was influenced by the past, because all music is, but it was so different, and it was it was freedom that you all had that your parents did not have.
That's right.
Segregation is officially off the books.
Right.
You
see it in the music. You see it in Marvin Gaye, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder. When they kind of opened things up and took the grasp off of us, then things started to open up and their music started to change from the cool doo-wop, which is cool.
Which was great music as well.
It was great music, man. It was all love music.
Right.
Temptations.
The Four Tops. Right.
It was
even the old
music,
Marvin Gaye, right?
Even the old Marvin Gaye.
The
but
Supremes.
then we saw that, we witnessed that opening, and so they became very socially conscious minded, and
you can tell, but reflected in the album covers, reflected in the music, the lyrics.
Absolutely.
Like it's just so different from the previous 10 years.
Yes.
So our last album that you chose, I want to point out, you just mentioned this as well, is Earth, Wind and Fire. You chose the Earth, Wind and Fire album, Head to the Sky, which is one of my favorite songs of theirs.
That's one of the best. That's one of the best songs of all time.
Right. It is an amazing song. And it lasted all the way up until my generation. My parents used to play that song all the time.
That's right. Oh yeah, man. That was it, man. And it provided a certain calm.
Right.
You know, you just chill, man. You weren't.
And look at these guys on this cover. I mean, they're just chilling. They're peaceful.
Yeah,
it's all love.
peace, man.
It's
Anybody
calm.
wanting to go out and shoot anybody
Nobody.
or beat anybody up. It was.
Let's get back to this, black people. Okay,
Yeah, man.
All people.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, because it was.
It's all love.
Good stuff back then, man.
And the talent
70s.
level. I mean, you know, I don't want to sound like the old guy now too, but like when I was coming up, and even obviously my parents' generation, these folks had talent.
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't get on the stage if you didn't have talent.
That's right. Yes.
Nowadays, anybody with a microphone and an account can, Instagram account can.
Right, because there weren't that many seats at the table, so if you were going to have one, you had to be good.
You had to be good.
Jackie Robinson,
Right.
you had to be good, right? I mean, there wasn't that many seats at the table in all of society, and so even in the music and the like, yes, if you were going to be on vinyl, if you were going to be played on the radio stations, yeah, you had to be good. You just couldn't be out there shouting, screaming nonsense. You had to be good, and you would have earned it along the way.
Right.
The what
Your
did they call it?
generation
The Chitlin
Chitlin
circuits.
circuit,
Yeah,
right,
man.
yeah.
You had to earn it to
Right.
get.
Sammy
to really
Davis Jr.
get there.
came
Yeah.
up through that. So many
Absolutely.
artists came through that. Comedians as
Yeah,
well
that's right.
as dancers, singers, artists.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so crazy that you mentioned the Chitlin Circuit. My mom used to always talk about that. And
Yes.
it's our people are an amazing people and
They
have
are.
done amazing
I'm telling you,
things.
man. I'm telling you. And they don't want that out there like that. That's
People
why
forget,
they.
right,
Yeah,
try to rewrite
and that's
history.
what the movements in these schools to block the education of these kids about the accomplishments of minorities and the like.
Black, Latino,
Yeah,
all
they
of them.
don't want that. They don't want that known, you know. So this kid may not know their history, which is a great history, and we just have to push back on it. But like I said early on, you know, they can't stop us. They may
We're
slow us down a little,
unstoppable.
but they ain't stopping us. There's
Never.
no stopping us.
There's
and,
no stopping
and I'm
us.
sure, and the music, a lot of this music that
This
you
music
you
will
point
never
to points
die.
to it, man. Yeah, absolutely, no question.
And that's why I'm so glad that you came on. I know you have to go. I would love to keep talking music with you, but I don't want you to get your car towed.
I know that's the only thing. That's the only thing.
The DC is crazy with that. Everybody who's been
Well,
to DC knows.
I'm glad that I'm glad you invited me over. I'm honored. You know.
No, I'm honored to have had you. I can't wait for this to air for everybody to see it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you come back and join us one day.
I will.
After we've scored that mega deal
Yeah.
with Spotify or whoever.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not just with Spotify, y'all. Whoever wants to get it. Just get it.
Don't miss out on
Right.
it. Get him now. You know.
Right, while
the
I'm
bargain
still
price.
cheap. Right, exactly. Yesterday's price is not today's
That's
price,
right.
y'all. But no, seriously, thank you so much for coming
problem.
on. And
No
it
problem.
was a true pleasure and an honor to have you.
I appreciate you inviting me. I really
Absolutely.
do.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Make sure you listen to part 1 of the interview and catch up on all past episodes by subscribing to the podcast, which is available everywhere, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. New episodes are released on the 12th of each month. And if you'd like to see the video version of an interview, that can be found on my YouTube page at the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you on the B-side.